with the advent of more and more portability, you've got things like the Switch, obviously, which is now, oh my God, almost, oh God, 7 years old. That's awful. Things like the Vita, which is even older. It's now 10 years old, I believe, at this point. Um, and things like the Asus ROG, which is brand new. And unfortunately, Matt, I saw your tweet. I'm really sorry you didn't get one. But hopefully, by the point this
I was so
podcast goes live,
disappointed.
you have one.
I was
You
so
might have one.
disappointed. Yeah, fingers crossed.
You'll
That would
get
be
there.
good.
I feel like there's a
Um,
new shiny toy by the time this podcast goes live, which would be way better than the Asus ROG, but we'll see.
we'll see. Matt's actually gonna get on the Apple glasses, and he's really gonna love the Apple specs.
No, I'm not.
I believe it. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was a horrible suggestion. Anyway, back onto the topic. With the advent of all these portable consoles, more and more games get played on the go, and it made a bit of an interesting question of what games are you actually embarrassed to play in front of other people? Because previously, the only embarrassment that I ever sustained was playing something like FF10 in front of my parents as a child and having them watch the laugh scene and having to explain that no, it's actually really good though. Something that I still do to this day.
Yes, well, you're still wrong about that. It's not good.
No, I'm still the most correct. It's fine.
Such an
But
embarrassing
there
thing.
are, yeah, it's embarrassing because Titus is horribly depressed. He's traumatized, and of course he's upset. Of course he'd be weird if you were that traumatized. Anyway, I had to defend it. There are games that everyone's like obviously embarrassed to play around other people just in general. So for me, the main one is probably MK9 because I felt really uncomfortable playing that around kids on the bus when I was going into work at my florist job in Adelaide. Um, Especially when the fatalities are happening or when story mode cutscenes are happening and someone's head gets exploded. In a more recent way of talking about it, I felt horribly awful playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on a plane because of the designs. And what happens to me often is I'll end up sitting next to someone who is of an older disposition, as in like they are in their 60s or 70s, and I have this inherent fear they're going to look over at me and see a big booby bunny lady who is shooting ice out of her nipples and think that I am reflective of that. And I want to say to the world, I am not reflective
Alan,
of
I
that.
feel
I
like
just think
what
the
you're
game's
missing
good.
out on is some nice, lovely scenes where this old lady, instead of being wholly really disgusted with you, turns to you and says, "Ah, yes, in my youth, I used to be a Playboy bunny, and I knew, oh, the man."
That would traumatize me, Trent. I would simply not want to exist anymore. That would be enough to send me out of the. I would do a parachute out of the plane without a parachute.
I still fit into that costume. I bring it
I
out
need you to
every.
stop talking. I need you to stop, Matt. What's a game that you're embarrassed to play? Actually, no. Why am I asking you this? Because you seem to have no shame. You seem to have zero shame about this topic. Because the more tweets that I see about you on Sydney's public transport about playing like Caligula Effect or what's that?
What's
The
wrong with
game
Caligula
where
Effect? There's nothing wrong with Caligula Effect. I don't know
no,
what you
what's the
think
one
about
where
that game. It's totally,
no,
totally nice.
what's the one where it's a Vita game, but you play as like a demon in hell and you're collecting girls, and when they level up, their boobs get bigger.
Demon Slayer, is it? No.
What?
That's an anime. What's that?
Collecting.
Oh, uh, Criminal Girls or something like that.
I've
Something like
never,
that.
I've never played Criminal Girls on the public
Oh, I'm
transport.
gonna
I don't
find
think I
this.
have. Have I?
Anyway,
There was one. Yeah. I mean, that one, the Criminal Girls was great because Criminal Girls had cut scenes where you needed to like torture the girls with feather dusters and stuff and poke and prod them in places. That was a fascinating game. That was.
it is Criminal Girls. I was
Um,
thinking of.
no,
I want to point out the way that I found what this game was called is I looked up Vita Boob Game Criminal.
um, I don't know if there's anything. Do I have limits? I've played Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball on the train, and that's fine
How
for
did you do
me
that?
on the Switch.
It's on the Switch.
Yep,
Oh, there you go.
yep. So that's swimsuits and volleyball. That's a pretty good time. Um, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't go and play outright adult games on the on the AOG ROG or whatever on the train.
We found his limit, ladies and gentlemen. We
that
found the limit.
that would be
But that's
that
only
would
because he doesn't have the console yet.
yeah.
It's because it's not sellable on Switch.
Yeah, I can just imagine playing like Sayano Uta on the train. That would be a fascinating experience if somebody saw what you was playing. No, I don't be bothered by much really. To be honest, if people see what I'm playing on the train, then maybe they should stop being nosy and just get on with their own lives. Because yeah,
Can you just imagine a
it's not their
Karen
business, is
going
it?
to like the train driver or something to be like, that man is playing this booby game and I think he's a terrorist because he just blew up that woman's panties. Stop the train. Get him out. That's what's going to happen.
Trent is on something today, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, coffee and half-eaten, badly.
And I was going to say that's probably part of the reason. It's like people, the other people on the train are all on different things anyway. They should be embarrassed just for existing. So, I have no shame about what I play on the on the train. I do what I want, and people can just cope. That
Yeah.
said, there has been the occasional game where I haven't expected fan service, I guess, as such. I mean, if I decide I'm going to play Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, then I know what's going to be in that game, and I am ready for people to look at me weird if they see what I'm doing. But there are sometimes there are some games like a visual novel or something that I'll be playing, and then it'll pop up one of the kind of key scenes, and those key scenes can be interesting sometimes. And if I don't expect that it's coming, then I'll suddenly think, oh, hang on, do I necessarily want somebody to be looking over my shoulder at the moment and see what I'm playing? So yeah, if I'm not expecting it,
I feel
then
like on the Wollongong train system, you're less likely going to find someone disgusted by it and more likely to find some jacked up perv, which would be a little bit too close for comfort if they saw what you're
no,
playing.
Wollongong's white dude territory, so it's okay if I was playing like that Fallujah game and committing war crimes on trains. They'd be like
Oh,
cheering me
hell
on.
yeah.
They'd be cheering me on. But if I was playing something with anime, then they'd be like, "Ooh, you're a weird person." So yeah.
Yeah, that
Um,
checks out. I mean, I also feel uncomfortable like every time that if I'm like seated next to someone who's like younger than like 18 and I'm gonna play like a shooter or anything that's like even remotely violent, I always get this like massive sense of just shame. And like I'm not gonna play the game, I'm just gonna sit there and stare into the abyss instead, which is bizarre, but also like I don't know. I
And
get
then
really
they like
worried and
spit on you and be
self-conscious.
like, "What are you, a nerd? You're playing like a game I was playing like when I was 5 or something like that. Everyone's playing Fortnite right now." Or something. I don't know. Like,
I don't think anyone's playing Fortnite right now. I don't know who's playing Fortnite. I don't think the kids that I teach are playing Fortnite. They're all into the Roblox community stuff. But regardless, I don't know. I get weirdly like self-conscious about what I'm playing in front of other people. And I think the main reason why is like I want people to think that like me enjoying this is reflective of my personality. Because oftentimes I'm not there for like the surface level stuff, and it's the lack of context that I think that gets a lot of people.
yeah, I mean
Like
that's fair enough. Like if people don't have any context and they see you playing something that creeps them out, then they're going to assume that you're a creep.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. And that stresses me out.
Regardless of the
So I
reason
just
that you're
don't
playing
play any video games.
it. Yeah. You should do what one guy did where he just made sure that everybody saw what he was playing because he was playing Disco Elysium and he wanted to, I'm pretty sure he wanted everyone on the bus to know that he was like an elite intelligence because yeah, he just kind of
Oh, that
tilted the
owns.
screen and he just kept tilting the screen everywhere so people could see what he was playing quite easily. So you should do
I'm a
that, Alan.
smart guy
Yeah.
because I beat fascists up.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, I get that. The games that you play when the people just kind of they don't know you on any level, that's kind of their only way of kind of getting a sense of who you are, I guess. But so I would
It's
imagine
in the
most
same
anime
sense.
games
Is
are
it
about for you.
if I saw someone reading 12 Rules for Life, I would judge them instantly. If I saw someone playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I would instantly judge them, and then also be like, I hope you're a normal person. You know what I mean? Like, especially like in London, like I hope that they're normal.
There was
Please don't.
actually that does you make a good point. There was one time where I do remember I was really careful about what I was what people would think of me when I was on the train, because I was studying literature at uni at the time, and it was American literature, and one of the books on the reading list was Lolita. And the only time I was able to
Oh,
get a lot of reading done, because I had a really long commute to my uni, was on the train. So that was one time I kind of I covered the book. I got some plastic tape and yeah, covered over the
yeah, put
book.
it
So people,
into a really big book sleeve and just
yeah.
write War and Peace in like a really
So
really bad
people,
crayon.
I really didn't want people knowing that I was reading that book. Not that, I mean, anybody who reads the book realizes that it's not what its reputation is, but it's just that one of those things where the reputation would be, it would lead to unpleasant conversations with some people potentially. So yeah, that was one time when I was careful, but other than that, not really.
Is it
Other
really
than
a
that,
bad
like
thing in Australia,
extremely
or
bad
is that
thing.
more of an American thing where it's like, oh, it's a banned book kind of thing? Like in Australia, is that like really a big kind
I
of
mean, it's just like it's a
yeah?
bad. It's seen as like a quite bad book to read. Like it's like reading Mein Kampf
Yeah.
in terms of like
Well,
the the
it's
the impact, the
again,
suggested impact of that.
it's kind of the context, right? I mean, there are very good reasons to
Yeah,
read Mein Kampf. Like people should, honestly, I think people should read that book because people should know what's in it. Like,
if
they
you're doing
should
international
actually,
politics or international relations, yeah,
well,
absolutely.
no, anybody should actually know what that ideology is, and not just the kind of the version that they get through Twitter or whatever. They should actually know just how bad it really is, and to do that you need to read the thing. So I'm a big advocate of people reading things that are deeply uncomfortable in order to better understand them, and then understand why we should reject them. So I've read Mein Kampf, and because of that I became even more firmly of the belief that everything that is said about Hitler and all of that is quite, true. In fact, if anything, it's even worse. From that book, I was radicalized even further against the movement because of it. So I firmly believe that people should read it, but without having the context of why I was reading it and who I am. And yeah, if people just see somebody there reading Mein Kampf, they're probably going to draw conclusions.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's all about the context. You can't really walk around with a sign saying this is who I am. I
yeah.
am playing this thing to better understand the context, or whatever. Yeah,
Well, this story is really good. I
people are going to
promise you,
assume
it's
that you
not on
approve.
just movies.
Yeah, people are going to assume that you approve of the content in there.
Yeah,
If they
exactly.
don't have the context, they're just going to
How
assume
dare
that.
you read or play something because you want to better yourself instead of because believe everything you play and read should be because you like agree with it or something. I don't know, like that seems to be where society is heading towards. So.
Well, I mean, what other reason would you have to believe anything else? Like realistically, if someone is reading Mein Kampf, if I saw someone reading Mein Kampf and it was a white guy like me, I would instantly be like, "That's a Nazi." You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like that would be a fair enough thing because if it was a guy who looked like me and they were reading that book, yeah. If I saw someone playing Monster Mon Piece on their PS Vita in 2023 on the train in London, I'd be like, "That is a weeb," and I'd probably move away.
I mean, you probably move away because they probably smell anyway.
I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah. That's the worst part. I was trying to be polite as much as I could, but at the same time, well,
I do have
this is
a story. It's not video games, but it was
not do it.
DVD. I had a portable DVD player which I also used a bit when I was at uni, and I kid you not, I I didn't realize that Eyes Wide Shut was as explicit as it was. Um,
Oh, it's a lot. It's a
yeah,
very weird movie.
because I was a big fan of Stanley Kubrick. I've always been a big fan of Stanley Kubrick, but I was watching through his films and I just hadn't seen Eyes Wide Shut. So I had the DVD, and I'm sitting there on the train, and I pop Eyes Wide Shut onto
Oh,
the DVD
Matt.
player, and that is another case where I actually kind of did turn it off quickly and sit there
It's like,
quietly.
that's not
I didn't
appropriate.
have another movie. I distinctly remember
You
having
just
no
sit there in
other.
shame.
I distinctly remember I had no other movie to watch, so I actually sat there and just kind of looked out the window for the rest of the trip, and I hated myself for that because, yeah, I wasn't going to watch that movie on the train.
No, I think there's also like a great deal of stuff behind this. It's like, what is the implication of engaging with this media? And I'm going to tell a story a little bit about Warhammer. I like Warhammer, right? I think it's a cool world. I think it's a cool hobby. I like painting. I'm not a big fan of the actual playing of it because it's pretty lame in my opinion. However, if anyone has ever gone into a games workshop, I struggle to think of a single one that I've been in that does not smell like fart. And so now I just associate anyone who is playing a 40k game or like a Warhammer Fantasy or Lord of the Rings strategy game in any situation as potentially not smelling very good. And that makes me move away. And I know it's bad because I also play those games, but I also know myself and I know that I do take care of myself and I can kind of trust that I'm not going to be weird about it. So it's like this weird like thing of like, I also enjoy these things, but I don't want to associate with you because I'm afraid that you're going to stink. And it seems to be like a recurring thing. It's like if you've ever been to like a convention and you go to like an area that you're really excited for, like a new game that's coming out, and you're trying out a demo or something like that, and you wait in the line and you are repulsed physically by the stench. It hits you. It hits you differently. And having done that one too many times, I just don't want to see that in public. And it's why I don't do it in public anymore. Because I don't want those people who I don't know, who I will never know, who I will never see again, to think I am stinky. It's such a weird, specific fear.
Yeah, I I know what you think. I know how you feel. I guess I think that's this case kind of with the anime games as well. You know,
100%.
I'm not personally embarrassed by being a fan of anime or whatever, but certainly the anime community doesn't help itself
Yeah.
with its behavior a lot of the time, and I don't want to be associated with a lot of that stuff. Like there's some
You can
horrible.
like things normally.
Yeah, that's the thing. Um, and you can like anything really, and be kind of normal about it.
Yeah,
But
this is
yeah,
also like not an issue that's extended only to gaming and like nerd culture. This is also like stan culture in general. This is also like musician shit. This is also watching Love Island for 70 hours and becoming a weird person about it. Like it's not limited to, but with gaming I think it's more apparent if you are. Like
yeah.
there's a higher risk of appearing like that.
Well, I think some communities, you know, people in them who are, how can I say this? I think there are some people, some communities where the majority of people aren't particularly embarrassed by the kind of the mainstream, even if they're not themselves that kind of hardcore fan. So, I mean, I'm thinking, for example, metal music. Um, I don't think
Mm,
there are many people out there that listen to metal music, but don't want people to know that they listen to metal music because they're embarrassed by the less pleasant edges of that community. So yeah, I think there are some. I think for whatever reason in gaming, there is some sensitivity by people like us who don't necessarily want to have the associations that some people have the games that we play, if that makes sense.
it also comes down to like the visibility. Like if something is cringe and awful, it gets blasted and that becomes the stereotype.
Well, I think
Whereas
that's
like
probably
I
part
just
of it. It's like it's not so much cringe. It's just if it's countercultural, if it's not, if it's something that's outside the mainstream, so the mainstream doesn't really understand it, um,
mm,
they tend to look down on it, right? And again, to go back to the anime aesthetics, people do get weirded out by them, not for any other reason than just they're not the same aesthetics that are kind of in it. We get inundated from with Marvel or Disney or American culture. So because it's different, there are a group of
Yeah.
people that are because it's different, the people outside that community who don't understand it tend to look down on it.
Yeah, because they don't know it, so they're afraid of it.
Yeah, whereas they're totally, for example, they'd be totally comfortable seeing somebody dress up in their Avengers clothes or whatever. You can wear a Captain America t-shirt and that's not going to bother anybody.
Oh, it would bother me quite a lot, but that's okay. I'm just a psycho.
I find it.
I don't know. If you're wearing a Captain America t-shirt, I feel like that's on the level of like
There's
patriotism
a better
that-
hero.
which leads to Nazism and stuff like that. Like, yes, he's anti-Nazi, but like it's still like heavily patriotic. Like he's meant to be the embodiment, like Superman. Like it's the embodiment of the American like materialistic you know culture for
Well, I mean,
military and stuff.
I
Like,
mean,
No,
any superhero t-shirt, you
Can
can wear those that people aren't going to be bothered by them. I find them to be pretty silly because I find superheroes to be silly, but I sit on the outside of that, so people don't care about what you know. People are comfortable that they're not going to be looked down on for being fans of superheroes because they're mainstream. But if you're to wear an anime
I
character
do
t-shirt, then you're going to expect, I guess, the mainstream to look down on you because it is countercultural. So I think really that's where that comes from. There is an
I do
intense
wanna
awareness about from people like us, I guess, that there is that perception about countercultural things, and if people see us engaging with them, then they're going to be critical of us as a result.
Yeah, I wanted to mention just because I thought this would be very funny to you, Matt, but I think it's the greatest crossover of all time in that the characters from The Boys are now in Call of Duty, and I think it's very funny. I find it very funny that Homelander is a character you can play in Call of Duty. I think that's fantastic. It's the
am I
most
the only
like
one which wants to play that Call of Duty now that the boys are in there? I know it's gonna be like
no,
trash
because
and shit, but like it makes me
no, the
want to
game
play
is
the
fun.
game.
The game is fun. It's just like emotionally bankrupt. The coolest thing about it is that The Boys is like the most appropriate. Like, of course you'd have fucking Homelander in Call of Duty. Of course you would. Because half the characters in Call of Duty are just Homelander with different like accents. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. But
I'll play
yeah,
Call of Duty when they
regardless,
put Hatsune Miku in Call of Duty.
I think
That's
they
when I'll
did
play
that at
Call of
one
Duty.
point.
Miku
They've
would
added
be
like a
like
spray in.
the enemy or something like that because they're like invading like Japan for reasons, and it would be like you have to shoot a bunch of Mikus. Like that is how Call of Duty would incorporate Miku. You know that, right?
There was there was a shooter that you could play, which would be the greatest bait and switch to play on public transport, right? So it's a first person shooter, and it's got pretty good production values. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it has got pretty good production values. It was made by a Chinese developer, I think, and it plays just like any other first person shooter. So people will be looking over his shoulder and thinking, "Hey, look, he's playing a pretty neat shooter. He's killing all these dudes. He's got a really cool gun and stuff." And then you get to the cutscene, and it's like a very anime girl, and you can put her into all kinds of different costumes, including swimsuits. So you could be like, you could really bait and switch people. They'll be thinking, "Oh, he's playing such a cool first person shooter," and then, oh no, it's actually a perv. What was the name of the game? I'm going to type Chinese shooter, first person shooter into Google and see how we go. What
I'm
was
just
the name of it?
imagining now
It was
like the
actually quite
most
a good game.
gruffest, like manliest, like shooting game, and
Bright
then you get
Memory.
to like a cut scene, and then you
There we
have to
go.
like dress up your like manly like shooting guy and put him
No,
like
no, it's called Bright Memory. It's great.
yeah.
You should play that one, Alan. You'd love it.
I'm not gonna play that.
You should play it. It's really good. It is really good.
No,
It's a
Matt,
very fast Twitch based first person shooter. It's really really good quality. And then you have cutscenes, and it's got a really attractive woman in a swimsuit. So
If
I
the
cannot
shooting won't
explain
get
to you
you
how
banned from
little that
Switch,
is for
hell
me.
will.
What are you talking about? You like shooters, right? You like first-person
Um,
shooters?
Yeah. I do, I guess.
Yeah. So there you
Some
go.
of them.
You're just talking
I
about how you
don't
like
think I'll
Call of
like this
Duty.
one.
You're just talking about how you like Call of
I,
Duty.
I actually uninstalled it the other day. So
You uninstalled it.
I did.
Oh, there you go. That'll give you 150 gigabytes of memory back.
It did actually. It was quite good because I installed Exoprimal today as well. So, you know, everyone play Exoprimal. That game's fun. It's going to die in a month and a half by the time this podcast comes out.
I do not. What is
Uh,
Exoprimal? No, that's dinosaurs,
It's a
isn't it?
dinosaur shooting game. Yeah, it's a dinosaur shooting game that's like a 5v5
Oh, that's
environment.
there. No, zero interest in that. I don't do the
Yeah.
5v5 thing.
No, but like it's barely anything. It's literally just you shoot dinosaurs, and if you're a healer, you play healer.
And somebody is the dinosaur? Is that how it works?
You can play as a dinosaur, yes. It's
Wasn't
like a
there like a
power up.
remake of like the old like dinosaur game from like the 64 or something like that recently?
No, Dino Crisis is not coming out at all. Turok also came out like 3 years ago, but it wasn't a great port from memory.
Turok was
Turok-
the biggest disappointment about Turok was the port of Turok 2 to the Switch doesn't have the multiplayer mode.
Yeah, so why would you
And
play the game?
yeah, I know. The
That's
multiplayer
it.
in Turok 2 was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed that. And I was really, really disappointed that they didn't put it in because I was looking forward to playing that. I actually bought it before I realized that it was single player only, and I wouldn't have bought it if it was. But Dino Crisis would be pretty good. I like Dino Crisis. I'd play Dino Crisis
Yeah.
on a train and not be embarrassed.
Yeah, that's a great game.
And then the dinos get put in swimsuits and then start, productive, walking around, all sexy like, and then you shoot them. I don't know.
Trent, whatever you're on
Stupid
today,
sexy
I need some of
dinos.
it. Whatever you're on today, Trent, I really need some of it.